What's the similarity in those pictures? Who can tell me? What's the similarity? Choice. Okay, that's a great one. Okay, basically that's what it is. When you look at all of these, there's a shopping cart. Someone had to make a decision as to what went into that shopping cart when you could see it. Here is clothing. Someone, every morning you get up, you have to make a decision as to what clothing you're going to put on. The other one, the dark one, is a picture of the Sistine Chapel. That was painted by whoever, Leonardo or Michelangelo or Rembrandt or whoever. He had to make a choice. It's a whole lot of Bible stories, which ones he was going to group together. The point is, all of those are examples of curation. Curation involves choice. It means taking a whole lot of things and taking some of those and putting it into your basket, taking some of those and putting it on his clothing, taking some of it and putting it up on the ceiling as a painting. That is choice. And so curation, as you said, is about decisions and flashing things. That is curation. Right, so let's start with a simple one, if it'll stay here for a second, and it doesn't actually matter if you can see this or not, is I'm going to pick on someone, and in a way it's good that you can't see that. I want you to tell me your top 3 holiday destinations. I mean, how long have you gone on holiday? London?
Mauritius Cape.
London, Mauritius Cape. That was so easy. So, what we were doing there is you were curating. It's actually, as soon as someone asks you to do something like that, it's like, oh man, my brain's like, wow, what 3? No, not 3. And it's actually difficult because what's happening is your brain is running through all of these things and it's trying to decide out of all the places I've been to so many, how do I choose 3? And that's the power of curating, because immediately what it's doing is it's forcing you to make decisions, forcing you to categorize, forcing you to order. Doesn't really matter how you do it. So, 10 reasons I hate lists. And number 7 is my favorite, if you can get to see it. The reason I personally don't like lists is because they make you lazy. You get the top 10 places to visit in South Africa, the top 10 books to read, the top 10 movies to watch. Why are lists so popular online? Because you don't have to think. Someone has curated it for you. But they're very powerful when it comes to our students. And so that's why they spread like wildfire online, because our lazy little brains see them and go, ooh, the top 5. Don't have to think anymore. So when you take the power of curating and hand it to your students, you all of a sudden empower them to start thinking. And so curation essentially is about finding, selecting, arranging, and amplifying. And it develops what I refer to as millennial age survival skills. And we'll see these coming up for each of the pedagogies. And they split into 2. You get ways of thinking and ways of working. And as we go through each of these pedagogies, you will find as we go up higher, they develop more of these things. They really suck us in more in terms of our brain. So curation is more around critical thinking, curiosity, contextualization, and visualization. In terms of working, it involves collaboration and accuracy. Now, there are different types of curators. On the one end, you get hoarders. They're just people that just save everything that ever gets sent to them. Then you get people that just spam everything they've ever collected onto everyone else. And so you get these emails from people that you never read because they're just passing it all on to you. They hoard spam, hoard spam. Then you can even get fakers. There's actually software that allows you to auto-curate based on keywords. And you can look really intelligent. None of those is really useful. Well, we're interested in people who are aggregators, who actually read lots of things and pull it together. And possibly even better, elevators. Take that and create a summary of what the key things they've learned in it are. Now, there are a whole lot of tools that can be used for curation. Those are just a few of them. And we are just going to try and play with one. So the challenge I have here today is obviously time, and to really spend like 15 minutes on each of these things. So I've really tried to pick not necessarily always the one that is the best, but one that we can just try quickly. Okay, just to give you a little sense of how curating can be done very quickly, even if you're in a lesson you wanted to suddenly lift the tempo and get them involved in something. So we're going to do one that's not even on that list there, Mentimeter. Right, so what you're going to do at this stage, either on your laptop or any other device that you have available, you need to go to a browser. Most of these things you will need to be in a browser to do. And there we have it. Right, so in your browser, go to menti.com and enter that code. Menti.com and enter that code. And there's a question. I want you to come up with 5 words, just 5, to describe the perfect lesson. So you've done this lesson and you've stepped back and you go, wow, that was amazing. What were the 5 words? What was happening in that lesson that made it amazing? So I'm not just interested in words like amazing, wonderful, fun, joyous. I'm interested in what were the 5 words that describe what happened in that lesson that made it amazing. So you're going to have to start thinking and see if you can come up with something. And as you think, it's going to appear up here. But you look at your screen to start with and see if you can come up with 5 words without looking at what the others have said that tell you what the perfect lesson is. So when I look at that, I'm starting to see a pattern of thinking that's coming out. So you had to think of this lesson, you're trying to use your imagination. And one of the things that's really powerful, as you well know, in teaching is to try and get people to imagine things, put themselves in the space. So you're imagining this perfect lesson and you're trying to find 5 words, adjectives or verbs or something that describes what's happening. So the ones that are obviously really popular there, engaging. Okay, and that's probably another word for it's active. I think all of us love as soon as we get to do something. It's just an obvious thing. Again, engagement, understanding, entertaining. Okay, there's very few of us who don't like some form of entertaining. And as soon as our students pick up a device, we find that they do become entertained. Interesting, inspirational, exciting, active. Right, so that's Menti. Essentially what we were using with this is meant to be to think. We were basically possibly just doing these first 2 here. So the process of curation actually involves a bit of a cycle. It starts with finding something. In this stage, you were basically finding it in your head. And out of that, you had to select. So you were thinking about the lesson and selecting some words that possibly were useful. Same as when we went around and said, well, the top 3 places in South Africa. But curation really starts to get powerful when you start to arrange it. Now, in this example, the computer was doing the arranging for you because it was putting all the similar ones together in a word cloud. And when there were more, it got bigger. But curation really gets powerful when not only do we arrange it, we amplify it, and we create something. So, for example, I would say to my students, I'm not giving you a list of readings on this X topic. I want you to go and find 10. I want you to create a short summary of all of them and tell me what's the overall message that you're seeing in these things. And immediately they go, ah! But what have I forced them to do? I forced them to read. I forced them to think. I forced them to read effectively. And more than that, I've now forced them to start to arrange, amplify, and create. And one of the tools that I use, and I'm not going to show you this one now just because it takes a bit of time for you to log in, and I want to try and get onto some of the other things as well, which is a really fun tool. It's called Listly. You'll find it's quite simple to use. Basically what it allows your students to go and choose anything. They can go and choose websites, they can go and choose videos, whatever it is. They grab it, they stick it, and they create a list. So here I've created a list, and this is a list of technology, whether technology is good or bad for you. So it's articles arranged around plus, minus, and interesting. So I'm creating a list of articles for technology, and here are the ones. So I found them on different websites. And then what I'm doing for each of them to try and arrange it is I am putting a tag on it. So how clear that is. That's a plus tag. So now I can see all the ones that were pro technology in the classroom. That's a minus tag, and those were just interesting ones. So what I'm forcing the students to do is go out and read, find, select, bring back, and now they're having to arrange it into some order. And just by them doing that process, immediately we have got them involved in the learning process right up front. I could have handed them that material, but why would I do that when they can learn so much more by finding that material themselves? And sometimes I'll give them some starter reference to get them going, but that depends if I've woken up on the right side of the bed. Right. So that is Listly. I just received this today from a teacher from one of the schools. And she set up a little website, and it was interesting reading her email today. She said, we've been doing this project with the students, whatever it was, and last year there were tears and crying. They were just so overwhelmed, and it was just a disaster. So this year she said, you know what, we're going to use this process of curation. And she created a little website to help them and guide them and scaffold it a little bit. And so the first couple of things are basically defining what the problem is. And then it's a curation process. Go out and seek. She gave them some starter things, but there's also just a YouTube thing they can go out and search. Then she gives them some instructions about how to select. She then gives them a space where they can now pull them all together. And finally, they get to amplify it. She says she's never seen such a change. Her students are so loving it. And obviously, she's even gamified it a bit like it's a quest. And so when they finish each one, they get a little badge. But she says all of a sudden, because she approached the exact same thing from a pedagogy perspective, I'm going to make this a curation problem rather than just, there's your project. It changed everything significantly. And so it is a very powerful approach. If we're prepared to and we want to get our students' brains in the basket, it's a great way of actually getting them involved. So that's very quickly curation. On the online course, there's a whole lot more about it. It shows you how to use Listly. It shows you how to use Flipboard and a whole lot of other tools that actually talks you through those.